Hi everyone, this is me. I want to wish you the best of luck as you start your paper ones for English tomorrow around noon or early in the afternoon. I figured I would go through some kind of like last reminders and tips. Most of this is from the Google Drive folder that is, the link is on ManageBack, so you can find it there. But I figured I'd run through a few of these. So the first thing I'm going to be looking at is the Paper 1 Final Tips document, which you can look at. I will just highlight a few things for you to remember as you start your Paper 1 tomorrow. Okay. So your Paper 1 for HL and SL, you're going to be looking at two. For HL, you're going to be looking at two texts around the same topic. At SL, you'll be looking at one text that you will choose between the two. For SL, the texts are not related. Okay, for both HL and for SL for Langlit, essentially what you're trying to do is look at what the text says and how does it say it, how does it achieve its message. Okay, one thing I mentioned when we were looking back at our mock exams is you're not evaluating if the text is effective or not. You're approaching the text from the understanding that yes, it is already effective at achieving its purpose, and because you assume that, your job is then to figure out how it was effective, to look at what the author did, what of the author's choices were made it so effective and conveyed the message to the audience in a purposeful way. So going off of that, with HL and SL, you'll start with an introduction and some things that are really important to convey in the introduction. First, if you want to use a hook, that's great. Use a hook that is relevant to the topic of the text, and then you want to introduce the text. In that introduction, you always want to do the name of the text. You want to do the author, the year, where that text is published, where it can be found, and you want to introduce what the text is, so what the content of the text is, who it is written for, and what its purpose is. So that's a very brief kind of introduction to the text. And then you want to kind of establish a thesis. In your commentary, you will be establishing and writing and discussing why the text is able to convey its topics and its themes and its purpose and message in an effective way. In your first body paragraph, I would say the most important thing to address is who the text is written for, so what's the audience, and then what is the purpose. I think those two are very interconnected, and so you want to establish those right off the bat. Explain who will be reading the text and what is the intended purpose. So is it to persuade an audience? Is it to inform an audience? Is it to convince them to do something, to buy a product, to buy into a message? And that purpose should be pretty clear from the text. If you do not know the purpose of a text, I encourage you not to use that text. Okay. If you misinterpret a text and its purpose, that makes it really difficult to write a strong paper 1. So as you're reading through your reading time, really be sure that you understand what the text's purpose is. Don't misinterpret it. Okay. Please remember also to read at the end of the paper. There's usually a note at the bottom of the text that tells you where this text is from, who it's written by, what year it was written for. That information is really important. If you remember for HL, we did an exam where it was written, it was the one about music education, and the article was written in a magazine specifically for school administrators. And that gives you a really clear indication of who the audience is, because it is meant to be read by principals and school leaders. and not really for parents and teachers, which is what many of us said. Okay, at SL, a text like we did Mahatma Gandhi's eulogy, or I think in grade 11 we did something with kind of like that celebrity website. Be really clear on who should be reading that. In this past mock exam, we had the text on how the ICC judges are chosen, and then we had the Manoli Salgado text, and it was meant for people who are interested in cultural texts and reading about culture. My screen just went off, sorry. So just be really sure who is your audience, be certain, and it's much better to be specific about an audience than to be broad, okay? One thing we talked about is don't say that the audience is for all the general public in the United States, or every person who has access to the internet in the world, okay? You want to have an audience that is very specific and central for this text. Okay, imagine who the writer is and who needs to see this text. Who is going to be the best audience? If you're selling bee saving kits, you're not going to sell that to children, right? Because the people who will be able to buy the kit are the parents of the children who have the credit cards. Okay, so be specific with your analysis about who the audience will be. That's all I'll say there. Okay, I said a lot about audience and purpose. Okay, so first paragraph, I would say always establish the audience and purpose, because everything that you write about after the audience and purpose, after this first paragraph, any stylistic devices, any layout conventions, the tone and the mood, okay, that all depends on having a clear audience and purpose established. Okay. You're going to link back to this purpose, you're going to link back to this audience all the time, so have that at the beginning of your essay. Okay. After that, you've got the rest of your big five. You've got your content and your theme, you've got your tone and mood, you've got your stylistic devices, and then you've got your structure. Okay. Content and theme is basically what is the text, what are the main ideas of the text. Okay, then you've got your tone and your mood. Remember, your tone is the author's attitude towards the subject, and then the mood is the feeling that the readers receive based on that. Okay, so be sure how you can distinguish those two. And then you've got your different stylistic devices, or how the author includes the audience, maybe some ways that the author uses persuasive language, maybe there are symbols, images, ways of just different linguistic tools. So just be ready, be flexible for whichever kind of text type you have. Okay, make sure that you're paying attention to specific features of the text. If the text has a really clear headline, or has pictures and has captions, or just different ways that the text is laid out. If it's an online text, you've definitely got maybe a URL or the website, and maybe a subtitle for the website. You might have different links at the top of the web page that you can click on. Right? Just don't ignore anything. Everything that is there is fair game for you to discuss and to make a comment on, and to say this is there intentionally. The author put it there. The author used this word choice. The website owner, right? Everybody, every author, treat their choices as intentional choices that were made to convey an idea and to advance the purpose of the piece. Okay, so in your structure, you can structure it in a way that makes it clear that you're focusing on a different aspect of the big five that you are developing. Okay, so each paragraph should be focused on one of these different features. Okay, if you forget what the big five are, they should be listed for you in the question prompt at the top of the page. it lists that you should analyze, compare, and contrast the following texts, including comments on the text and the significance of the context, audience, purpose, and formal and stylistic features. Okay, so that gives you a pretty good idea of what you should comment on in your commentary. Okay, a few things I want to note for just general essay writing. Okay, for your topic sentence, make sure that you have a clear topic sentence for each paragraph that gives a focus for what you're going to write about. Okay, if you're going to write about how the piece conveys a tone of happiness and joy, okay, say that in your topic sentence, and then don't only say what the literary feature is or the stylistic device is, but connect it back to its purpose. Okay, this text has a tone of happiness and joy because it wants to convey a purpose of convincing children to love animals. Okay, I just made that up, so it doesn't make much sense. Okay, but just really connect that topic sentence and that literary or stylistic feature back to the purpose and the audience that you mentioned in paragraph 1 that's right below the introduction. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, even with my kind of lame example. All right. For SL, make sure that you're reading those guiding questions. You have 2 of them. You are not required to answer them, but they are strong. I strongly encourage you to use them to structure your essay, to focus your analysis. Okay, they will point you to parts of the text that you should pay attention to. So don't ignore the guiding questions. They're a really good place to start. Okay, for HL, remember that you are comparing and contrasting the 2 texts. Your texts are probably they probably will not have the same purpose. They might have the same purpose. If you remember, you looked at the 2 Chevrolet ads, and they do have the same purpose of convincing people to buy their cars, but in all likelihood, you will not have 2 texts that are about the same purpose. They are about this same topic, and they might have similar purposes, but they will vary slightly. Okay, if you remember bees, we had the first text, which was about highlighting the problem of the bees in the western part of the United States and talking about the impact on industry and business and life for the people out in the west part of the United States. And then our second text was about advertising bee-saving kits to residents of the United Kingdom and asking them to kind of support this ecological Save the Bees campaign. Okay, so even though they're about really similar topics, they're about they have different purposes. Okay, let me see here. Okay, always refer back to the text, cite specific lines, specific phrases, specific images. Okay, don't ignore the text. Okay, just really cite specific parts of the text and justify how those choices by the author were intentionally made and how they are effective. Okay. I think those are all the notes that I have for paper 1. Hopefully you have really great texts tomorrow. I'm excited to hear from you how paper 1 went. Do your best. I think you guys are well prepared for paper 1, and you have the skills, even though it might seem like it's been a while since we've done language, since we've done paper 1 in particular, since we've been working on literature for a while. I think you have a lot of these skills, and you know how to read texts that are unfamiliar to you. So just kind of pull the tools out of your imaginary toolkit and just do your best. Write an organized essay. Understand what the purpose of the text is, who the text is written for, and explain why this is a great text. Okay. Yeah, I'm hoping you have great texts, that you will do your best tomorrow. I will be praying for you that you do Great. All right. I will send another one of these videos for paper 2 tomorrow. Hopefully this wasn't too cheesy, corny, and if it was, thanks for watching until this point anyway. Okay? Do your best. Have a great time. Bye.